All right, welcome back. I want to talk to you a little bit about the motivational factors that you need to keep in mind always if you're going to be successful, okay? And what I want to talk to you about is how people tend to get lost. They tend to lose motivation, okay? We talked a little bit about motivation in a couple of other videos. We talked in the first video about how we need to have a model. We need to be able to think about motivation and getting to where you want to be, whether it's fitness, health, relationships, family, work, whatever it might be, eating better, anything you want to do. We needed a model. We need a way to approach that. And so what we're doing here is we're working on something that I have recently named the Motivation Matrix. If you go to my website, scottgodwin.net, you will see that there's a model on there. There's an actual diagram that shows how this works. But I've studied motivation for years, 15, 20 years. I've studied motivation. I've been fascinated by it because people say that they want to achieve certain goals. People say they want to be healthier, they want to be more fit. But a lot of people have a hard time with that. They have a hard time getting to where they want to be. So I was always curious about that. I mean, a lot of us want certain things. We want to be healthier. We want to have live in a healthy community. We want to get out of debt. We want to have all these things. We want to have maybe a better career, a better business. We want to have better relationships and so on. But we never seem to be able to really take hold of the motivation to follow through on it. So what the motivation matrix does is it basically gives you a way to structure motivation. It gives you a very simple way to think about motivation. So again, if you go to my website, scottgodwin.net, there's a link on there that says Fitness from the Inside Out Models. And you can click on that and you can take a look at the model. But as we talked about in some of the other videos, basically what we're looking at here is we're looking at values in the middle, which determine your goals. Then we're looking at goals determining what projects you take on. And then we're looking at the habits you need to achieve those projects, achieve those goals, and live out those values. So in the first video, we talked about living out your values, what's important to you. In this video, we're going to talk about goals, okay, because that's the next phase. So this is the motivation matrix. If you can first take that step and figure out what's most important to you, that's really where motivation comes from. And that's a step that a lot of people never even get to because it takes some soul searching. You have to be really honest. You got to be deep. You got to really look on the inside and really figure out what's most important to you, what's most sacred to you. And I've shared with you all my values: faith, family, friends, health, giving back, being out of debt, having a good career. These are the things that are important to me. Getting enough rest, managing stress. So there's about 7 or 8 things that I have written down, and those things determine my goals. Okay, so that's where we're at now. We're talking about goals. So once you literally go and you use that model, the motivation matrix, and write out your your values, what are the most important things to you, limit it to about 8 different things. Then I want you to set your goals accordingly. Let's just say, for example, your family is the most important thing to you in the world. But it turns out you're only spending a couple hours a week with your family. Okay, obviously that's going to cause a lot of problems in your subconscious. It's going to cause a lot of problems deep on the inside, a lot of stress, a lot of angst. And so if your family is number one, that's your value. Your goal needs to be to spend more time with your family, right? It's that simple. And then you work on down the line projects and habits. We'll talk more about that later. But think about that. Think about what's your core values. What are they? What are your core values? And then what is your goal based on that? What are your goals based on that? And work your way out. Use the motivation matrix model. Okay, 4 things: values, goals, projects, and habits. We'll talk a little bit more about projects later on, but when it comes to goals, keep it simple. I mean, I recommend setting 3 or 4 goals a year at the most, okay? 3 or 4 goals a year, because once you achieve a goal, say once you achieve a family goal, let's say of being closer with your family, and you really value that, and your goal is to spend more time with them. Once you instill the projects and the habits, comes a way of life. You can move on to other goals. So our eventual goal is to get to habits. That's what we want to do. We want to change just our natural dispositions, and it can be done. I've seen it. I've seen it happen. And I'm going to be building these models, these fitness from the inside out models, and I'm going to be putting them on my website. And they're going to be for you to use for behavior change, achieving goals, living out your values. But this first one is called the Motivation Matrix. And again, I'll say it again: values, goals, projects, habits. Use the model to stay motivated. Use it to achieve your goals and enjoy the process. Talk to you soon.